So we are getting ready. All right, we are getting ready to go live on the radio. All right, good morning, WMBM listeners. I am Dr. Karen Lewis, broker with K1 Realty Group and the host on the Real Estate Radio. If you want to call in on this happy, awesome new year, we made it. If you're hearing my voice, we made it, crossed the finish line. Thank God for that. Even in the midst of all of what we went through last year, we made it across. So if you want to give us a call today at the station, phone number 1-888-599-9626. Let me repeat that number, 1-888-599-9626. And if you want to get in contact with me at any time, my phone number is 954-248-9149. 954-248-9149. And all my social media is K1 Realty Group. I'll say that again, K1 Realty Group. Awesome. So with me this morning, I have a super awesome guest. I guess you wonder why I have to say the word over and over so many times, because that means I'm excited, I'm energized, and like I said, we crossed the finish line, and that's where I'm at. All right, so with me today, we have a special guest with me, and she called herself the ResCom. So what that is, that's the residential commercial real estate broker, real estate guru in Florida. With us we have Miss Tamika Moses. What's up, Tamika?
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing super fine. I am doing super fine. You know, when I say that, I'm fine too, but I'm doing super fine mentally.
I'm awesome today. We made it to 2021, so I'm feeling good right about now.
Isn't that a blessing? We made it through 2021. Tamika, I'm going to let you get started, but one of the things I want to share with my audience is that we've been doing this for our clients. We've been doing what we call a real estate review, and we found that it has helped clients tremendously. So we're offering that service free to all our listeners who are homeowners. It's just like when you do a financial checkup, you do a medical checkup. Well, we do what we call a real estate review checkup. And we talk about different things on letting you know what's going on in that area, houses, what they're sold for, what's currently on the market now, what has been canceled, expires. We also let our homeowners speak with one of our preferred insurance companies so they can make sure that they have the right insurance in place. We even go over budgeting with them and all those things to help them make sure that they have the correct title. So those are things that a lot of times homeowners don't look at, and we want to provide that. It normally takes about 15 minutes or so. We can meet people at their homes if they're not, afraid right now, but we do understand. And if they want to meet at a local coffee shop, or if they just want to have a simple phone call, this is something that we're doing for our audience for 2021. Again, a lot of our clients, we found that they love it and they've made a difference in it. It has made a change to them, because a lot of times when they close on their house, they don't look at the paperwork and they just go on live day by day. And even with an insurance, when something happens, then all of a sudden, now it's too late to do anything about it. So we want our homeowners to be proactive.
Yes, that's awesome. Even the homeowners I do close, I follow back up with them to make sure they filed their homestead exemption and everything. And I had one client, she was like, "Oh my God, I thank you so much for calling and reminding me." She said, "I got the information in the mail, but I put it on the side somewhere."
Wow. And that happens so often.
It happens so often. They're like, "What does it do?" I said, "It's a reduction in your tax." They said, "Oh my God." I said, "Yes." And I said, ultimately, it can affect your mortgage payment by going down. And two of my clients saw, they said, "Oh my God, I saw the difference." They said, thank you for, they said, you kept reminding me, but I saw the paper and I just forgot about it because we do get overwhelmed with so many other things. We start looking at something, oh, I'm gonna do it later, and your mind just like, whatever.
Right, and that's important because again, we get so caught up in life happens and we forget to look at our documents. You know, I even do that with my finances. I do that with everything. I don't wait till the beginning of the year. Actually, I do it quarterly.
Yeah.
But like I said, people, when it comes to when you're a homeowner, then normally we just put our package up and we never look at it again. And I've seen so many cases, especially when it comes to homeowners insurance. First of all, we don't even know how to read what it says. So even if we look at it, we're still not sure. Exactly. A lot of times people think where it says full coverage, that in our minds we have everything. But let's find out what full coverage is, and then you can judge it from there. So those are the things I think is vital. And I think especially from last year, we really need to tighten up our game, even when it comes to saying, hey, how can we get a 6-month emergency fund? How can we get a 3-month emergency fund so that we don't have to be in jeopardy when things happen? Exactly. Especially because, you know, I'm going somewhere else though, because most times we have budget busters, and what they are is that we know eventually, if we've lived in a house long enough, that there may be a refrigerator that tears up on us, that breaks on us. We know that we may have roof issues. But if we have some money set aside, then we don't have to use that credit card, and then we're paying that 4 or 5 years down the line. So those little things can make or break the difference as a homeowner or just as a responsible person.
Yes, just responsibility, period. I try to make note of all of my clients' closings, so they're like, okay, I paid for the homeowner's insurance for the year. I try to give them a reminder like a month before, because they're like, oh, this is the mortgage company, they'll find out. I said, no. If you have a quote, they get a quote for $3,000 or $7,000, whatever comes in first, that's what they're gonna go with. So make sure you stay on top of that. And there's so many people, I've helped a lot of first-time home buyers, and they're like, thank you. Just for those little tips, they're like, thank you, you know. I'm like, and then divorce insurance, they're like, you need to have it. I said, but at the same time, they don't care what the quote is. They're not going to shop around for you.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. So I let them know, like, listen, make sure you get this on top.
They're definitely not going to shop around for you. You're like that with me and my clients. I tell you, my clients probably get tired of me calling them. I make sure that I reach out to my clients every month. When I have clients, I'm going to either reach out to you by the phone, or I'm going to reach out to you by sending you something in the mail. Yeah. You will always know who I am as your real estate agent. And when they pick up the phone, they're going to know it's me. And it's all about building relationships too, because once you close a transaction with a client, that's when the real relationship starts. Yes. And not just another client that I closed a transaction with. I'll see you the next time you get ready to purchase a house. No, it's about building a relationship and making sure that you're okay in that house the entire time that you're there. And then when you're ready to move on, then, you know, we have a conversation.
I build relationships with all my clients, from residential to commercial, to the point of it is they inbox me on Facebook or something. Hey, what's up? You want to go to breakfast? You want to go to lunch? I'm like, people are like, why are you eating out so much? I'm like, you don't realize half the time I'm really eating out with my clients and stuff. And I'm like, I don't even call them my clients. I'm like, this is my friend. Like, I have another couple of clients say, hey, you need to stop at my house. Your Christmas gift is right here. And I'm getting shocked. I'm like, what are you talking? They're like, no, I become their friend. Well, and that's what I love. Even doing commercial real estate, I still have those clients. They're like, oh, well, come by the shop or whatever. You help me do X, Y, Z. I want to show you this. I want to show you what I've done with the place. And I love that. You know, it's not just about, oh, it's just a transaction. It's about that client becoming like my friend. Like, I can call you and say, oh, yeah, I do have this X, Y, and Z. So I love that.
Commercial. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about that beast. That's what I call it a little bit. I call it a beast, and if you're a residential real estate, that's normally what we call it. Yeah. Now, what if you are a a lot of times people call me and they want to invest, and they don't really understand the investing process, and then the first thing they'll call me and they say, hey, bring me a good deal. And I as a joke, I always say to myself, if I had a good deal, I'll be the first one.
I get that all the time. They're like, going down to the street, a good deal. I'm like, well, what do you call a good deal? I'm
Right.
like, what are you looking for long term or short term? I'm like, the short term, I could just easily find you a good house flip. I said, well, commercial, that's something that you continuously building wealth with. I said, you can always make this building into, I'm like, you have the J Suites. You have it where, a lot of the flea markets, they close down. So now, people are like, well, am I gonna work out of my home? Am I gonna go in a beauty shop? I said, no. I had one client, I said, we found a building big enough. I said, well, you know what? Why don't we try doing the suites? And they're like, that's a good idea.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so with me, you have to back up.
Yeah.
I'm like even though doctor's in front of my name, you have to talk to me like I'm a first grader. So before you define the J Suites, back to what I was saying is that if a person wants to invest in real estate, would you recommend should they do residential or commercial? Because I had a class, I was taking, I think, a property management class, and I heard the instructor said if he knew what he knew now, then what he would have started initially with investing in commercial. What's your thoughts on that?
I ask people, what are their goals? I've had people that came to me and say, you know what, I want a small apartment building. Well, how many units you want? I want these 10 units. So I'm like, okay. I don't tell people, okay, you need to start with residential, then you work your way up. That's just like me. I could have started just as a residential agent and stayed there like, okay, then I'm going to leap into commercial. Or I could have said, you know what, I'm just going to take the chance and just leap right into commercial. So we have options. I always sit down and interview my clients. I've had people because they think a 10-unit building, they're like, oh, that's just a resident. I said, no, that's commercial. I said, but you could start that way, especially if you have the funds and everything to start. We just have to be strategic of what we're looking for, if the rents and everything. So I always tell people, I say, it's an option to you. Right. So I really sit down and I try to get to the nitty gritty of what my clients are looking for. If they're like, okay, that I want to do house hack. Well, I only have 3.5% down. All right, then let's start with a duplex or a triplex or something. Then we can work our way up to doing commercial far as more than 4 units and say, okay, then now you want a bigger place, like bigger properties.
Gotcha.
So I always sit down and say, what do you want? Well, I want this, because some people may think a triplex is commercial. I'm like, no, that's under residential. And I pull out the FHA, they're like, oh, I can get a, I said, yeah, you can actually do that.
Awesome.
And I mean, every client, I tell every client, every customer, anybody, even if they're not my customer, my client or anything, I said, no, you're not asking a question, and that's dumb. I said, it's no question that you ask me, I'm gonna look at you like, what? What do you, no, this is what I want you to know. I always, especially African Americans, I always tell people, real estate is one of the biggest things that you could generate wealth, ownership. I'm looking at all of this, what's going on throughout Miami-Dade and Broward County, all this redevelopment, and especially in the Black areas. I said, listen, even if you don't get the largest apartment building, at least try to get a duplex or a triplex. Create generational wealth.
So what you're saying, just get in the game.
Yeah, get in the game.
I like how you said that you interview your clients. So what happens with that? You're digging, because sometimes as an investor, they don't know what they want and they don't know what they don't know. Exactly. So it's up to us as the expert to start pulling and digging out of them so that we can help them identify what they want.
So they can have a clear vision.
Exactly, and I like that word, vision 2021. My word for 2021 is execute. So as far as real estate is concerned, Tamika is talking about building generational wealth, and it's time to get in the game, trusting and trembling at the same time. And when you were talking about generational wealth, one of the things that we share with our clients too is that each one of your children should have a real estate property. Yes. I don't care if they're a newborn baby, if they're 5 years old, they should have it. And when they become 18 years old, between 18 and 21 years old, you either can sell that property or let them continue to get that rental income. And if they decide to sell it, now they don't have that financial aid over their head. You can pay that off, and you can look at that as that's their financial aid money. Mm-hmm. But at least you don't have to pay the government over that money and it goes over your head. And then your child comes out and they don't have a fair start in life. And we say that we love our children, but we're not willing to make the sacrifice for our children. And then they come out, like I said again,
Yeah.
they're in debt. And now it's not the American dream. Now they're living the American nightmare because they're already in debt above their heads. But I want to go back to something before you jump in, because she's got plenty information, and that's what I love about you, Tamika.
Thank you.
Tell us about that. Explain that J Suites and that house hack, because if somebody's like me, they stuck right there. Tell us what J Suites and house hack is.
Okay, the J Suites are basically a large building, and the suites are no more than 500 square feet. So what I've seen a lot of major companies where they're doing this, they're even franchising some of these spaces, franchising some of these businesses per se. People are you have owners that are actually leasing out each suite. Each suite may range in lowest from $700 to $1,500. It all depends on the size and where it's located in there. So that's what a J Suite is. And some of those buildings each have probably about 20 or 30 of those suites. So think about how much you're generating in rental income versus like, okay, the loan maybe I'm gonna probably create probably like $10,000 to $15,000 off of this, and my loan may be $5,000 a month, which is really good income. House hack is if you buy a duplex, you live on one side, so I can rent out the other side. That unit that the other person is living out of, they're actually paying the mortgage. That they have enough, they're paying enough rent where they come in the mortgage payment. So guess what? You're starting to save more money. So that's what house hacking is.
Gotcha. So house hack is just really just paying the one person comes in and pay that mortgage, and then you have your other place in the duplex.
Exactly.
You live on the other side.
And then the thing about it is, you're like, okay, then I've saved enough money. Now I can go buy a bigger triplex or fourplex, or go buy a single family home. But now I have this property that's generating income for me.
So in the market now and what we're going through, do you recommend that someone say, if they're interested in real estate investing, do you say, hey, let's jump on it now, or should they wait? Because a lot of times people are waiting. It's almost like the stock market. You really can't time it 100%, but should they wait or should they jump in the game now? I have my answer for that, but I want to hear yours.
The interest rates are so low, I have people that are actually jumping in now. They're like, well, you know, it still kind of balances out. Especially if you're getting a pretty good, reasonable, if it's priced right, I tell people, let's go for it. It's no perfect time to say, okay, then I'm going to wait and wait. I was around for the 2007 crash or whatever, 2000.
I was too.
I had to do the short sale and everything. I did the short sale on my townhouse and everything. I went through all that. I did the short sale on my townhouse, especially when my mom passed and everything. So I went through it with the association, everything on my back. And I tell people, I said, listen. The person who bought my property, they got it for $145 at that point. Now the properties are going for like $300,000 over there. I said, but we're living in another time. The banks have learned their lessons for the last 13 years. I said, so the banks aren't going to release all of the, they have inventory, they have foreclosures on their books, but they have so many REITs now that can buy all of that stuff off of their books. You're competing with a large real estate institution. So how are you going to say, oh, I want this $300,000 property for $100,000 when they can say, well, you know what, we have $50 billion. Give me that whole entire portfolio. So I always tell you, I say, you're competing with cash buyers. It's a lot of competition in the market. Prices have gone up because values are going up. So I always tell people, I said, it's not, oh, well, I'm going to wait for the market to crash. We don't, this pandemic, this is a health thing. This wasn't a financial thing. So yes, people are scared. The rent moratoriums are still continuing to go on. But some way or another, the banks and the politics, the government, they know how to handle this situation because they've learned from the last crash. So I tell people, I said, listen, we have a lot of development going on. You're going up and down 27th Avenue. I said, you have $1 billion football team that's going to be in the heart of Miami Gardens. I said, you have apartments, Crystal Lake, that was one of the most rundown apartment buildings in Miami Gardens, 10, 15 years ago. Now they're redoing them up, and right now they just sold to another investor for $78 million. So guess what? They're going to make those market rate apartments. I said, you have brand new apartments that are building across the street from the stadium. One bedroom's going to start at $1,750. I said, so when you're seeing stuff, oh my God, it's so high. I said, we may think it's high for people up north. This is dirt cheap. Get in the game now. I said, rental rates are going up. This is the new norm. I always tell people, just balance, as long as the numbers and everything make sense, you'll still be able to create wealth here in South Florida.
Wow. So what you're saying right now, there is no time one should wait. I agree with you, and I would have a conversation because one size does not fit all. Once we understand and know the situation of where you're at, then we can give you information. And once we provide the information with you, then you make the decision.
Yes.
But it's time to, if you've been like straddling on that fence, like, should I not do this? Should jump out in 10 feet and then we're going to help you swim, okay?
I tell people, you know what, and I tell people, I say, you know what, it's really about the people who you're around. Get in a circle of people who have the same thought process. I say, because people can actually inflict their fears on you. Oh, you shouldn't do it. The market is going to, oh, you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people inflict their fears. I said, if they so-called say it's going to crash today or tomorrow, guess what? You're going to compete with a real estate investment trust that's going to buy all the properties at one time. They
Absolutely.
have cash. You still got to wait for financing. Stop waiting. We have to play the credit game. We got to get our credit right. Credit right? You can go ahead and get pre-approved for anything that you want. But I tell people, I actually have a couple of young people I'm actually working with, and they're all getting together, saving their money.
They do that.
Yeah.
They do that.
Right. We want to get into the game. We want to get in. They don't have no fear.
And see, and normally young people don't. It's just us old people like me. Well, actually, some people, let me take that back. But a lot of older people have that fear because we bombarded our minds with a lot of things that's going on. Young people really don't have it. They'll jump in, get in the game real fast, and they're making some power moves right now.
Yes.
On that right there. And even when you were talking about getting in the game, you know, we have to get our credit together. We have to get ourselves together. But now is actually the time that we can start doing it. And we have to associate ourselves with people, because if you believe that you can't do it, then guess what? You have no options, and you don't think of any options to help you with that. Associate yourself with people. And as a real estate agent, me, Tamika, or there may be other agents, you can ask those questions so you can make sure that you're being guided right.
Yes.
And you're not just a client that I'm trying to make $1 off.
Exactly.
You know, so that's important.
Yeah.
Tamika, you have so much. I don't know why I just do you one show. So Tamika has to come back, okay? We're going to set that up because she has so much information, and what she's saying to you, and I'm saying the same thing, is that if you want to purchase a house, you've been thinking about it and you think your credit is bad, or if you want to get into real estate investing but you don't know how, then you give us a call. One of the things that we're also doing, and we only have about 3 more minutes, we're trying to show people how to live off their EIN, their employer identification number, and not your social security number, so that you can build up from there. You can even buy properties in your company's name. You can buy properties, and you can even get a car in your company's name. So there are so many things, and that's why it is important that you associate yourself with people who's going to help take you to the next level, and who's going to push you sometimes, even when you don't want to be pushed, though.
Exactly.
You know,
just pushed. You know, I see a lot of younger people. I'm like, well, I wish I had the braids people I had when I was 25, 26. But I admire everything that they're doing.
Right.
I admire the Hustlers Workshop that Terrence Fulton does. I admire the Jeremy and Joshua Mathis. I admire everything that they're doing.
Terrence just jumped out. As a matter of fact, next show we're going to have a real estate investor come in and talk about it. So stay tuned for our next show. And make sure that you start learning. If you're talking about or you're thinking about investing, stay tuned with us. We're coming back on the 3rd Saturday at 11 a.m. so you can learn nuggets and have your pen and paper, and he's going to talk about real estate investing. Our time is out. Tamika, please give your information out before we end.
Yes, I am the broker and owner of Burr Realty. You can contact me at 954-404-4646. And I am on Facebook, Tamika Moses, and I'm on Instagram at T Moses Real Estate Broker. And also you can follow those pages and also my company page, Robin Burr Realty.
She's always giving out great information. It seems like she just lives for information, and I love it. I love having her here. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is the beginning of the year, and again, we're going to make some power plays, and you are going to do the same thing. I'm Dr. Karen Lewis, licensed real estate broker with K1 Realty Group. Have yourself a super Saturday.
Thank you. Bye. Hi, Terrence.